Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this Resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Raven, and here's her story. Hi, Ollie. I would have done Skype for this as I need to talk to someone, but I am at my annual Army training for the reserves, and the Wi-Fi here is practically non-existent. I don't really have people in my life who have been through this, so most of my friends don't understand about narcissistic abuse and neglect from parents or loved ones. I left a donation with PayPal. I hope it helps you. I have a YouTube channel that I post videos on, but my parents watch some of my videos, so I'm afraid they will see a video if I make one about this topic. Well, if this is about your parents and you're afraid of them seeing it, then before I even read, because I've done videos for you, I think, about your ex-husband, which, probably why you put up with a son husband of an ex-husband is because of your parents. So before we can even get into this, I'm going to tell you no contact. And you can't worry about what your parents are going to see or not going to see. You're not going to change them if they're narcissists. You're not. You've done a couple videos for me in the past, and they have helped. I have been in denial for a long time about my parents' role in raising me to be vulnerable to a narcissist. We all have something or someone in our past, I believe, makes us vulnerable. I have just been in denial and not wanting to admit the truth to myself. I will give a little background for your listeners. I was married to a covert narcissist for 16 years, and once we separated, I started nursing school. I got my associate's degree in nursing last year and started working as an ER nurse. Saturday, I graduated with my bachelor's. You can work as a registered nurse with an ADN, but you really need your bachelor's, and a lot of hospitals require you to get your bachelor's within a certain amount of time. I graduated with a 4.0 and at the top of my class, and yet it didn't matter to my parents. It was never more apparent how I was raised by narcissistic parents, or at least toxic parents, until my graduation on Saturday. The problem is, after 16 years of marriage, you're still seeking validation from them in the first place. You're never going to get it. I've been in denial for a long time, wondering why I fell for a narcissist. I know now that my parents set me up to be susceptible to a narcissist. Saturday, I graduated with my BSN. I chose to walk at graduation and go through the whole ceremony. Even though it's my second bachelor's degree, because I worked so hard to get through school, being a single mother working full-time and taking extra classes at work as a new graduate in the nurse residency program. The residency program is an intensive 6 months of classes and studying to learn everything about the emergency room and taking care of trauma patients. It is almost like going back to school, but working at the same time. For the past year, I have had no free time, and if I wasn't working or sleeping, I was studying. Shit. After my first graduation last year with my ADN, I realized how selfish and narcissistic my brother and father are to some extent, how enabling my mother can be. They were upset that the graduation ceremony lasted an hour and a half and were ready to go home as soon as it was over because they have no time for you. Your shit doesn't matter. Obviously you're seeing this now after 16 years of being with a narcissist. You're realizing, oh shit, you're the reason why I was with him in the first place. And all their shitty behavior after you going through, getting up your second bachelor's with a 4.0, your first mistake is seeking validation from them to begin with. Welcome. I had to force them to come back into the auditorium to get a picture with them, and they were annoyed the entire time. My daughter noticed a lot of students walking around with flowers and balloons that said, "Congratulations." She said to me, "Mom, where is the table to pick up your balloon?" She assumed the school had provided the balloons. How sad. No, you say, "Oh, I'm sorry. You see, I was raised by shit who doesn't really give a fuck about me." I said there isn't one. Those students had people who cared about them to bring them balloons and flowers. You better make sure she knew she was talking about your family, not her. She made the connection that my parents had not gotten me a balloon, and she had tears in her eyes and said, if I had known, I would have gotten you a balloon, Mom. You better make sure she knew it was your parents and not her, because you don't want to put that on her. My parents didn't even say congratulations to me. I didn't get a card, balloon, cake, or even a congratulations dinner. Hell, I would have been settled for a card from the dollar store. My brother is the deacon of the church and regularly buys dollar store greeting cards to send all his church members on their birthdays, but I didn't even warrant a card from the dollar store. I was depressed for several days, realizing this had been my whole life. I was never encouraged to achieve anything. As if I did achieve something, it was never acknowledged by my parents. I went to college the first time on a full scholarship, and yet they never congratulated me for getting that scholarship. Nothing in my life was ever a big deal. I realized that the reason I fell for my ex-husband's charms was that he would bring me flowers or balloons when I accomplished something. It was a validation I never had. I was right to get picked up by a narcissist because I didn't get the emotional support from my parents, and I feel like I was getting emotionally neglected. Of course. The first person to throw you a crumb of who you're like, oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever. No, it isn't. And you can thank your parents for that. Everything had always been about my brother and still is. He still lives at home at age 40, and whenever my parents go out to eat, they have to go wherever he wants to go because he doesn't eat Chinese. The motherfucker's still going out to dinner with him? Is he sitting in a booster seat too? Holy shit, does he get crayons and get to draw? This is my ex-brother-in-law living with his mommy at like pushing 50 now. I told this story, I think one of the last times I went down there with her when I was still married to her. I'm like, all right, we'll take your parents out to dinner first night. Take them out. We're going to go. The father likes Outback. We're going to go out to Outback on us. We're out in the car. My wife, Erin, sitting there. Here comes her mother and father. And trailing along behind them is her at the time. Well, it wasn't 40. I think he was... Shit. He had to be like 38 at the time. 38-year-old brother who was living with them, coming out as well. I'm like, are we paying for your brother as well? Just don't say anything. Awesome. Not only that, and I've told this story as well. Not only that, okay, Erin used to get the kids' mac and cheese at Outback. She loved it. Okay, and it was great because it was always good for you take the rest of it home, and it was great for lunch for the next day. So you got another meal for her, and she loved it. Next day, right? Next day, go into the refrigerator at lunchtime. The mac and cheese isn't there. I'm like, where's the mac and cheese from Outback? My mother-in-law's like, oh, well, I gave it to John to eat at work. What? You gave your 3-year-old granddaughter, 4-year-old granddaughter's fucking lunch away to give to your 37-year-old son. Well, when you put it like that, when I put it like that, no shit. So in comes baby Huey after work with a fucking giant chicken parm in his fucking hand. I'm like, what's that, John? Oh, first thing he does is pick up his laundry, because it comes in out of the garage and stuff, that his mother had done for him. Oh, mom did the laundry. Slaps the fucking chicken parm right on top. I'm like, what's that? Oh, it's a chicken parm. I'm like, what? Your niece's fucking mac and cheese wasn't good enough? Oh, yeah, well, it wasn't really filling. Oh, but you ate that shit, though, right? Fuck out of here with you people. All he is. You make me sick. Okay, but I digress. Again. as my voice is on its last fucking leg. He still lives at home at 40, and whenever my parents go out to eat, they have to go wherever he wants to because he doesn't eat Chinese food, Mexican, Italian, or anything that isn't a large steak and French fries. If we ever went to a restaurant and I wanted to go, he would pout like a large child and still does. Mother tolerates this behavior and enables him. He thinks he can pout or throw a temper tantrum and get his way, or acts like he deserves to get his way all the time. My father is no better. He has PTSD from his service in Vietnam, and he's constantly mad at everything. He gets upset when he takes out the trash and yanks it out of the can, cursing at it. He yells all the time, and I think he has some brain damage as well as the start of Alzheimer's. He will repeat the same story almost on loop and complains constantly about the same thing at the dinner table. He complains about my mother's cooking and then wants something at the dinner table. Wait a minute. He complains about my mother's cooking. When he wants something at the dinner table, he just says what he wants, doesn't act politely, then gets mad if my mother doesn't hear him. She is deaf in one ear and has a cochlear implant. He and my brother behaved badly at my graduation yesterday. I half expected they wouldn't behave or be happy for me, and I knew I wasn't going to get a card or graduation present for graduating with my second bachelor's degree. So based on their past behavior, why would you think that anything differently would happen at your graduation ceremony? You can't even go out to dinner without this fucking baby Huey in a diaper. Like this fucking believe me, I had to deal with one. I know what you're dealing with here. This fucking baby Huey, that was his name. Fucking baby Huey son husband. Why would you want them there in the first place? Why did you want the narcissist there in the first place? They were never going to give you what you wanted. Never. They were only going to ruin your day. I know why, because you didn't want to make it look like you came from nothing. Unfortunately, Raven, you come from nothing. Oh. Migraine. I had half expected they wouldn't behave or be happy for me, and I knew I wasn't going to get a card or a graduation present for graduating with my second bachelor's degree. I have learned that I have to be a self-starter and be proud of my accomplishments because no one else in my family is going to be proud. No one is in my corner, and that makes me sad to think about it. Yesterday, I started crying during the processional into the auditorium because I thought to myself, am I setting a good example for my children that you can do anything in life and be whatever you want to be? They have seen my struggles over the past 4 years as a single mother, and even the ex-husband has acknowledged I'm a good role model for our kids. At the end of the ceremony at the reception, my professors wanted a picture with me and my family. My parents were annoyed to be at the reception, and my mother said, "Hurry up, your father and brother want to leave." And I would have been like, just go. Go and don't come back to my life. Ever. You missed your point you missed your opportunity to make your stand. You should have embarrassed them publicly. The fact that you won't put this on your fucking channel is a problem. You need to embarrass them publicly. You need to call out your brother for the fucking baby Huey pussy boy that he is. Hurry up, your father and brother want to leave. They haven't eaten all day, and these large children, referring to my dad and brother, are throwing a temper tantrum. Then leave. She has 2 husbands. Your mother's just as big of a problem as they are. She's just as big of a problem because she didn't stand up for you either. Fuck her. She likes it. She likes it, Raven. The graduation was at 1 p.m. It was now 2:30 p.m. My dad had not eaten all day long, and my brother had not eaten lunch. I told her they're adults. They knew they had to be here by 12:30, and they didn't eat anything. She handed my kids off to me, and they left. No congratulations, or they were so proud of you. Nothing. They just made me feel like I was an inconvenience and that I should be grateful that they showed up at all and that I should feel bad for making my dad and brother miss lunch. My nursing professors were the only ones congratulating me besides my kids. My professors wanted my contact information because they were going to use my research papers in subsequent classes. They said they were very impressed with my work and wanted me to come back to school for my master's. They also said they would do anything they could to help me in my career and write letters of recommendation. I stayed behind a while to talk with my professors and then left later. I had purchased 2 stoles of gratitude, which is a stole you wear around your neck at graduation, and then afterwards you place it on the shoulders of someone who helped you get through school. I had 2 of them because I intended to give them to my parents, but they left so fast I didn't get a chance. Lesson learned. How horrible. You can't bribe them. You can't buy their love. You can't. When we were in the parking lot, I decided fuck them and gave it to my children instead. I placed the stole of my gratitude on my daughter and son's shoulders and told them what they symbolize. I told them that I went to school in order to provide a better life for them and that they inspire me every day to be a better mom and a great nurse. My son said, "Mom, you're a great mom every day." It brought tears to my eyes to see my children so proud of me. And you were going to give that to your parents? I hope this is the moment that you truly realize that you were, I'm not saying you were a bad mother, but I think there were times you were putting your parents ahead of your kids. We got in the car and my kids told me they were hungry as my mother and father had not fed them anything before graduation. I had to be at graduation an hour earlier than my parents, so they had brought the kids with them. I told them my kids would go home and change clothes so they wouldn't get pizza on their church clothes, and we would go to Pizza Hut. I don't like Pizza Hut, but I was willing to reward them for behaving better than their grandfather and uncle. Halfway home, I get a call from my mother stating that she was going to the grocery store and pick up something for dinner. I told her no thanks, that the kids and I were going to Pizza Hut. She invited herself, my dad, and brother. I was already upset, and now I had to deal with them again. You should have went to another restaurant. You should have told them no. You should have told them no. When we got home, I took my time to hang up my dress and the kids' clothing, and I got a call from my mother. They were sitting in the driveway in their car, ready to go and wanting me to hurry up. She said my dad and brother were starving and I needed to hurry up. I told her that it takes extra time with kids and that I was going as fast as I could. They were still making the entire day about them. Other students get taken out to celebratory dinner. Oh no, not me. We had to accommodate the golden child and my father's wishes. I put the kids in my car and we drove to Pizza Hut. At the restaurant, my brother ate all the breadsticks and wouldn't share with the kids. What? Dude, I mean, come on, man. You're putting your mother, father, and brother ahead of your children. You're letting them see your family treat you like this. My kids waited patiently for their pizza, and my daughter asked very politely if she could have a breadstick, and he ignored her and completely acting like he never heard her. Why didn't you step in? Why didn't you say something to him? Hey, you fucking child. I said to baby Huey, how do you live with yourself, John? How do you do it? That's what I got. This grown-ass man ate all the breadsticks and wouldn't share with 2 hungry children. Then he made a point of chastising my kids for not eating enough of the pizza I ordered. My son who are they to chastise your fucking children? When are you going to step up? When are you going to step up and take control of this situation, Raven? When? Who the fuck is he to chastise your fucking children about anything? And you won't put this on your YouTube channel? That's why they do this to you, Raven, because you don't stand up to them. You never have. My son only ate 1.5 pieces and my daughter ate 1 piece. That doesn't bother me because I just take it home and we have it the next day normally when we go out to dinner. He and my mother once made my daughter take home 4 condiment cups of ketchup from Wendy's that my daughter used for her French fries because they didn't want her to waste the ketchup. They wrapped these cups up in the wrapper from the hamburger and made her take them home to use again to teach her not to waste things. Who gives a fuck about the ketchup? They seem to be extra hard on my daughter, and I wonder if it's because my daughter is almost a carbon copy of me. She almost looks exactly like me. Where are you here? What do you mean they're picking on your fucking daughter? What do you mean? What are you doing about it? You better wake up quick here, Raven. You better wake up real quick because you're letting grown-ass adults bully your children in front of you. How long before you think your kids turn on you? Anyways, I thought that the abuse was over with, but it wasn't. Yesterday I had to drive back to Fort Lee, Virginia. I'm in the Army Reserves and my annual training is this week. I had gotten permission to drive home on Friday to graduate on Saturday and then come back for the rest of my training. I have a problem with a large raccoon eating all my bird seed at home. My dad decided to set a trap under the bird feeder to catch the raccoon. I looked and saw the trap had trapped 3 baby raccoons. The mother raccoon came and tried to free her babies. I saw this mother work for over an hour trying to free her young. My daughter was upset and crying because she knew that grandpa and her uncle would kill them once they got home from church. I couldn't stand seeing the babies cowering in the cage in fear. I went outside when the mother was gone and opened the cage and let them run back into the woods. My daughter was so happy that I freed the babies that she told my parents as soon as she got to their house for Sunday lunch. Stop letting your children around these people, Raven. Stop it. Stop it. They are going to turn your children against you if you keep this shit up. You better stand up for yourself. My brother and dad proceeded to yell at me about how stupid that was, that they're not going to send any more traps to help me. Who asked them to in the first place? I said, it's my birdseed. I don't care if the raccoons are eating it. I couldn't care in good conscience kill all the babies. You want to keep the fucking raccoons out of your birdseed? Here's what you do. You grease the fucking pole and they can't get up it. They just slide right down it. Keeps the raccoons, the squirrels, the cats, they can't get up it. You make the pole slippery, you put some clear grease on it, and they slide right down the damn pole. And nobody gets hurt. You don't got to kill, you don't got to trap none of them. Problem solved. I couldn't in good conscience kill babies. My daughter started to say something. My brother started yelling at her, shut the hell up. Dude, you know what? That should have been followed. John, let me tell you something. He may have eaten her food, but if he ever, and he was very good to Erin, because if I ever saw anybody be nasty to my daughter, I would lose my fucking shit. Shut the hell up. The next line better be followed by my foot being buried in his fucking mouth. Shut the hell up. You come in here looking all smug and never listen to anyone with the shit-eating grin on your face. He talked to her, the way he talked to her, it was almost like he hated her. He does. He's a child. He's jealous of her. I spoke up and said, you have no right to talk to her like that. Not no right. You don't talk to my fucking child this way, motherfucker. What are you doing? He answered and said, look, I had a bad morning. What, mommy didn't wipe your ass for you? What's the problem? I said, it doesn't give you the right to talk to my daughter that way. I'm sorry that church makes you so happy. It's no I'm sorry anything. You don't talk to my children like this ever, ever. Maybe you shouldn't go. He and my father complain all the time about the church music director. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? My brother runs the sound system and he hates that the director only does contemporary music instead of Southern gospel. Gives a shit. Every year, he and my parents spend a week of vacation in Tennessee going to a Southern Gospel Music Festival. They think everyone else should like their music. My brother complains all the time at the dinner table, or any chance he gets about the music director, or so he thought he was saying he had a bad morning because he was at church. He answered saying, I've had a bad morning because of what I ate last night. I've been sick. Who the fuck? Well, maybe you shouldn't eat all the fucking breadsticks, stupid. Stupid. Off a child. Like, dude, why are you not losing your goddamn mind? I remember thinking to myself, serves you right for eating all the bread, hogging all the breadsticks. You didn't say it, though, did you? He was making excuses for yelling at the top of his lungs at my daughter on an upset stomach. It doesn't give him the right to yell at anyone simply because he doesn't feel good. He loses his temper a lot with my kids, and I end up having words with him a lot over his yelling. But my mother lets him and my father get away with the screaming at the kids. It makes me feel like I'm married to the narcissist again because he screamed at the kids all the time. I felt like a referee when I was married to him, and now my family acts the same way. He and my brother continued to yell at me about the raccoons, that I wouldn't let them kill baby animals. After a few minutes of this, I pushed my plate away, not eating any lunch, and said, why are you going to your parents for lunch like you're a child as well? Get your own life, Raven. Stop hanging around with your fucking parents. Stop. Stop. Stop hanging around your parents. And said, I'm not going to sit here and get yelled at. I'm going back to Fort Lee. I have to be back in a few hours anyway for a training meeting. My father yelled at me and told me to sit down and eat my lunch and said, I said, I can't eat when You're not a child. No wonder the motherfucker won't leave. They treat you both like you're still fucking children. I can't eat what I'm upset. Instead of saying, fuck you, old man, you talk to me like that again, I'll stab your eyes out with a fucking fork. He said, bullshit, sit down and eat. I ignored him and gave my children hugs and told them I loved them. You got to find better accommodations for your children because they're going to end up hating you. If you're just using them as babysitters, you need to stop that shit right now. Because it's only a matter of time before your brother does something worse to your daughter. My ex-husband has very little to do with the kids, so my parents are the ones that take care of my kids while I'm away. You need to stop. You need to stop. You need to figure this out then. You need to figure it out with your ex-husband. I hated that I had to leave them, but I really had to get back to the fort. On the way out, my mother followed me to the car, telling me to drive carefully. I unloaded on her and told her that the way my brother and father acted at graduation was inappropriate and it hurt my feelings. She made excuses for them with saying, well, they were bored and hungry. I said, that's no excuse. It was my day and they made it all about them. They're never going to grow up. She then said, well, your ex-husband is never going to grow up either. I said, this has nothing to do with my ex-husband. It has to do with my family not giving a damn about me or any of my accomplishments. You know that getting that BSN was a big deal, and we have some nurses that at work that have never gotten their BSN because they can't get through the statistics in organic chemistry, and I graduated with a 4.0. She said, your daddy and brother were bored at the last graduation. Will probably be bored at the next one. I said, no, they won't, because they're not invited. When I get my master's degree, they're not invited to my graduation. She kept making excuses why their behavior is okay. I'm going to stop you here, Raven, because here's my fear, is that you're trying to become a professional student. You got a bachelor's in nursing. Do something with the bachelor's in nursing. Stop being, because you know what's going to come after? It's going to come after the master's? It's going to be your nurse practitioners. And then after your nurse practitioner, it's going to come, I might as well become a doctor. And you're going to look up, you're going to be 70, you're going to be pushing 70 years old. Like the remaining sister in my mother's family, my Aunt Barbara. Professional student, nurse practitioner, up until the age, became a nurse practitioner basically at the age of 60. Who's gonna watch your kids while you're going to nurse practice when you're taking your masters, huh? Who? Be a mother. Raise your children now, Raven. Get through your reservist. Don't re-up again. And take care of your children. You want to go be a nurse? You want to go for your masters? Do it when your children are old enough to take care of themselves. Don't do it now. Because by the time you get that master's, your children are going to end up being turned against you and hate you. Enough. Time to grow up yourself, Raven. Time to stop being a professional student, i.e. a child that can be controlled by your parents. Get out of the military, because it's just another means of control. Yes, I love the military, and you've done enough. You've done enough service, Raven. You've done enough. Time to stand on your own 2 feet outside of academia, outside of the military, and take care of your own children. Not calling you a bad mother, I'm not saying that. But you are playing into this with your parents and with all this. It needs to stop. I forgot to mention, after my dad and brother acted so bad at graduation, I took my kids aside and used it as a teaching moment. The teaching moment will be thrown away the second you leave them with them again. It's got to stop, Raven. It's got to stop now. After Pizza Hut that night, I told the kids that when someone has a big day like graduation, wedding, birthday, etc., that you make a big deal out of it and make the person feel special. You don't make that day all about yourself if you love that person. I told them that I wanted them to grow up to be caring adults and consider other people's feelings. My son and daughter told me how proud they were of me and how I told them about how all my life I have been my own cheerleader. I let them know that no matter what life throws at them, I will always be in their corner and cheering them on. My daughter has said something very profound. She is 13, but already much wiser than I was at that age. She said, Mom, pride is something you give to others, but self-esteem is something you give to yourself. I was blown away by that statement. My mother behaves badly at times too, and I know she has a lot of emotional problems from how she was raised. My grandmother was not a nice woman, and I think she may have been a narcissist or just a bitch. She treated my mother like a second-class citizen and always babied my uncle, who was the golden child. So she was raised that way. Doesn't matter. My mother will lay guilt trips on me by crying. The latest incident involved mothballs. I had 5 skunks take up residence under my house. Can you tell I live in the country? We have so much wildlife around here. The wild turkeys walk across my yard in the morning with a herd of 12 deer. Anyways, I had to call the exterminators to come and humanely remove the skunks from under my house and relocate them. My mother read that skunks don't like mothballs, so she took it upon herself to buy 2 boxes of mothballs and throw them in the crawl space under the house. Why is your family, did they just take liberties at your house? I know what that's like, because my parents used to do it to me too. The house is an older farmhouse and the floors are not sealed. The smell of the mothballs permeated the house and was especially strong in my son's room. I read that the smell is actually the pesticide from the mothballs that can cause respiratory issues. My kids were away at camp that week and I had to stay there, and it caused me to have a runny nose and a cough. I complained to her about it, and she got upset and cried, saying, "Nothing I ever do is good enough for you." My dad got mad and started yelling at me that the mothballs were harmless. I told him no, they are not harmless. They used to be made with camphor, but now they are made with a pesticide called naphthalene, which is large quantities can be dangerous for children. She continued to cry and say, "I was just trying to help. I'm so sorry. Nothing is ever good enough for you. I can't do anything right." I'm used to that kind of guilt trip, so they didn't lose any sleep over it. I did lose sleep over the mothball smell and had to run fans and open the windows, try to get the smell gone. Anyways, that is the kind of stuff I deal with from them. From the day I went back to Fort Lee, I had to drive. The day I went back to Fort Lee, I had a 5-hour drive ahead of me, and I used that drive to think about everything that happened, from graduation to baby raccoons to mothballs under the house. I really feel like my parents have never supported me. It's almost like they didn't want me to rise above my circumstances by getting an education. Neither of my parents have a college degree, and my brother dropped out of community college after 2 semesters because it got hard. He works as a truck driver, and my dad was a truck driver all his life. He used to say when I was little that he regretted leaving the army and that he would have been more successful if he had stayed in. My mother worked as a secretary all her life and saw how stressed she was paying bills. She even took me aside once in a while she was crying to say, "When you grow up, get a job where you don't have to worry about money and paying your bills." You would think they would be happy that I have graduated college and now have a good job that I can pay my bills, but instead it's almost like they're unhappy about it. They're also upset that I have chosen to change ranks in the Army Reserves from being enlisted to the nursing corps to being an officer. I'm currently working on transitioning on getting picked up. Stop. Focus on your children. Stop. Your father was in the Army and he said his biggest mistake was not, why are you staying in? I understand the Army's noble and it's great. You have children here that you are leaving in the care of 2 people that are going to sabotage them against you. 3 people. It has to stop. Look, it's structure. It's like being in school, being in the military. It's the same deal. You have to grow up, Raven. I know it's a weird thing to say, being in the Army is not growing up, but people are telling you what to do, when to do it, how to do it, even as an officer. More schooling. Enough with the schooling. Stop being a professional student. It has to stop. You're only going to damage your own children. It has to stop. Focus on your career. I'm currently working on transitioning and hopefully will be picked up by the officer selection board in October. It's a lot of work to get my packet together. You got a 13-year-old daughter. The lot of work's got to be with your daughter and your children. Stop this. Stop running off 5 hours away. Stop it. It's not necessary. Stop it. You're leaving your children with people that are going to poison them against you. It's a lot of work to get my packet together, but I know if I don't try to become an officer, I will regret it later in life. On that, you have children. On that drive, I thought about how successful I would have been in life, my parents have just given me a little bit of encouragement. My cousin, who is autistic like my son, was encouraged by his parents from a young age. He now works for NASA and has his doctorate. It made me cry thinking about how I had to fight for everything. No wonder I ended up married to a covert narcissist. He came off as a nice guy who said the right things and did all the things my parents never did, like bring me flowers or cheap balloon when I graduated from college with my teaching degree 20 years ago and my first bachelor's degree. I would make excuses for his behavior throughout the marriage, and it's no wonder because it mirrored my mother's enabling of my father's rages and my brother's narcissistic golden child behavior. I have been in denial this whole time because my parents are not as bad as my in-laws were to my ex-husband, so I have thought that they can't be narcissists. They have done so much for me, including letting me and the kids move into my grandmother's house to have a place to live, watching my kids for me where their father won't have anything to do with them, etc. I feel like I owe them, but at the same time, they were never there for me emotionally. And you're not being there for your kids because you're running off for every other endeavor. You're leaving them with these fucking poisonous, toxic people. Get out of their houses. Get out of their life. Get out of their control. I think my brother became the golden child because he was born premature and had a learning disability, so my mother's always gave him a pass on behavior. At the same time, I remember my mother chastising me when I called her over after having my ex-husband Narcissist stage suicide attempt and announced he wanted a divorce. My mother said to me that day, "I didn't raise you to marry someone like this." I think that statement now, that's about that statement now and think, yes, you did raise me that way, Mom. I know about my personality, and now I've been seeking my parents' approval my entire life, and it's made me susceptible to narcissists. Right. That's why, because you're still looking for something to get their approval. You're never going to get it. You're never going to get it. You're never going to get it. You need to focus on your children. I know you're doing this for your children, but it's coming counterproductive. Your daughter's 13. She doesn't need her mother running off once a month. Okay, and 2 weeks at it, whatever the reserves are. And now officer training? Come on, man. Give your kids a break. Be around for your kids' childhood. You got a bachelor's in nursing now. That's not enough? That's not enough for right now to raise your children until they're able to take care of themselves. Really? That's not enough? No, it's not about your children. It's about you proving this something, trying to prove love to your parents, to try to do something that they're going to acknowledge, and it's never going to happen. And you're doing it at the detriment of your own children. I hope you realize that. I'm not sure what to do about it now other than not expect my parents to behave or give me any emotional support. I'm going to make sure that my children feel loved and supported by me, and I'm going to make sure that my brother is not allowed to yell at my daughter any longer. No, you need to show your children right here and now how your family has been acting. Your mother, your father, your brother is not to be tolerated. And by not tolerated means cutting them out. You can't let people treat you like this in life. That's the lesson you got to teach them right here and now. And you don't leave your children with people like this. You teach your daughter, you teach your children to defend because when they have children, so if anybody attacks them, they don't get attacked. All you're showing your daughter right now is to accept treatment the same way you have. That's what you're teaching her. I love the house I live in, even though it smells like mothballs now, and I have thought about buying it. But now I am thinking about saving up and building my own house somewhere several miles away from them. Get out of their house. Get out. I think I need to wait until the children are a little older, as I don't have anyone to watch them during my night shifts in the ER except for my parents. There's got to be somebody else. You better find somebody. or try to get off overnights at the ER. You got you're gonna have to do something. Overnight babysitting is hard to come by. My ex-husband doesn't want anything to do with his kids. I tried in the past to get him to watch his own kids when I have work, but he refuses. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, needing their help, but at the same time recognizing the abuse. I know I deserve better, but I'm never going to get any support or congratulations from my family. It makes me sad to think that they have never been in my corner. I am actually amazed that I have the fortitude to go to school and make a better life for myself without my parents cheering me on. Where does that come from? How are you going to get a new house if you're studying for a master's, studying to become an officer in the military? Stop and focus on what you need to focus on. A master's degree and your officer's training isn't going to get you your independence any faster. It's only going to hinder it even more. Working the night shift as an ER nurse may not be the best job for you. Maybe you need to go into a practice, into something else with a bachelor's. These aren't your only options here, Raven. Stop acting like they are. There are other options. Where does that come from? How is it that some people that are ignored, neglected, or even abused by their parents find the inner strength to rise above and achieve something in life? You haven't, Raven. You haven't found the inner strength. The strength isn't an inner strength. The strength is a desire to get them to fucking acknowledge you. Your motivation is for them to compliment you, to finally recognize all the hard work you're doing. You don't even realize what you're working for. You're so locked in to please the narcissist, you don't even realize what you're actually working for here. Are you working for the betterment of your children? No. You're working to impress your parents, for them to finally acknowledge you, and it's never going to happen. And it's only going to be a matter of time before your children make that connection. I remember when I first joined the Army, my mother was pissed and yelling at me, saying, "Why the hell did you join the Army?" I remember saying, "Because I'm going to be all that I can be." She answered, has it made you all you can be? She answered me saying, "You can be all you can be without joining the Army." And I'm not shitting on your decision to join the Army. It's wonderful, and thank you for your service. You've done enough. How about service to your children now? And I'm not calling you a bad mother, but you don't realize what you've actually been working for. Your goal for a better life? No, your goal is to impress your parents. It seems like no matter what I've done in life, it's always wrong in their eyes. I didn't learn to exactly, and that's why you keep doing these things. This is why you keep striving for the next accomplishment. Don't you get it? There's no reason for you to go for your master's right now. There's no reason for you to go through officer's training right now. Your kids need you. You're divorced. The father wants nothing to do with them. Do you think now's the time? No. Focus on making money now. Focus on your career that you got a bachelor's in. You'll have plenty of time for a master's degree in a few years. Okay, when you're in 5 years, when your daughter's 18 and probably can help you. Or even 2 or 3 years when she's 15, 16 and she can take care of herself and her brother. But no, you're going to risk these next 2 years having your parents turn her against you eventually, okay, instead of wait 2 years when you can have everything you want. I didn't learn to achieve things in my family of origin. I was taught fear and failure instead. Anyways, I've made this email much longer than I intended. I hope maybe with this story others will be able to recognize that ambient abuse they suffered from their parents and maybe be able to recognize why they fell for a narcissist in the first place. I am finally being honest with myself about my upbringing, and I hope others will be able to take a good look at their childhood and come to some realization. Thank you again, Ollie, for all you do for survivors of narcissistic abuse. Keep up the good work and the narcissistic resistance. Sincerely, Raven. Look, Raven, I'm not yelling at you. I'm not yelling at you, but I'm trying to wake you up here. You are going to be a professional student at the detriment of your children. And it's not for their benefit. It's for the benefit of impressing the narcissist for a compliment that you are never gonna get. Never. So stop it. Stop it right now. Get out of that house. Concentrate on your career right now and how you get your children away from your family. And you better never, never, never let your children see your family treat you like this again. Or God forbid, treat your children like this again. Ever. Because they will end up resenting you for it. I hope that helps. Thank you for your contribution and story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from you guys. Without you, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance.